Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and a big good morning to everyone joining us live here on Behance this morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever it might be in your magical part of the world. I'm streaming live this week from so far sunny Los Angeles. Let me know if you are joining us live, who you are, where you're tuning in from, and if you've never used XD before, let us know that as well. We're on day number 7. We're halfway through the week, halfway through the second week. I'm sad whenever this thing comes to an end, but day number 7 of the XD Daily Challenge is upon us, and we're gonna have fun with this one. So let me hop over to my screen, and a big good morning to everyone joining us live, including Andy and Steven and Pokehan and Suyog and our awesome moderators Sam and Val, Ariana, and everyone else. Anna's in there, Richard, El Barbas from Colombia, Alan Gomes, I think it's Gomes, probably not Gnomes. Pocky is from Virginia, awesome. Never used XD before, but have been watching for a while. I love that. I love when people have never used an application before, and just, diving in, watching some of our awesome streams. Maybe for me, I don't know. I'll just take it as a compliment. Thank you. But if you've never used XD before, hopefully this kind of gets you into the groove and gets you excited about XD. It's a pretty, fairly user-friendly application. So definitely dive in there. It's also completely free to use. So you can just dive in, poke around, see what you like. So here we go. Behance.net/daily creative challenge. Usually the big blue button at the top is to register, but because we're almost at the end of our lovely 2-week session, it's a Discord button. So, definitely press the button, join us in Discord. Here's Discord. We've got about 2,300 people in there. It's a good time. There's people asking questions, people introducing themselves, suggesting features, talking about the challenges, and just having a good time. So if you want to connect with other designers, jump in Discord. It's a pretty fun time. So every single day, if you're brand new to this Adobe XD challenge, never watched it before, or never participated, every single day we're going to be offering up a challenge. And some challenges are progressive, some challenges are more one-off, like we're doing this week. And we try to mix things up a little bit. We'll definitely go back to the progressive style at some point, but we've heard some good feedback on both sides. So, we're gonna keep mixing things up and see how things go. So every single morning, you're gonna receive a challenge, and then at 11:30 in the morning Pacific time, you're gonna be joining me live on air to kick things off and give you a little bit of inspiration on what you can do with that challenge. Then you're gonna share your work on Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. That way I can jump in here and take a look at some of your awesome creations. And then you have until April 29th, which is just 2 days from now, to complete everything. But, if you need a few extra days to polish up your work, or if you want to upload it now and then make changes later, you can definitely do that. And we do these things to help you build up a portfolio, learn new skills. Again, if you've never used XD before, this is a perfect opportunity to learn something new. Down here, about halfway through the page, grab XD for free and join us on Discord. And then we've got our challenges. So we started off last Tuesday with a drop-down menu. We progressed to upload file experience, pagination. Did I say 29th or 26th? What is it? It's the 29th, and we're on, it's the 24th. Oh, that should be the 26th. But I suppose, it's probably the next challenge, Photoshop, starts on Monday.
I can't search the web on Apple Watch.
Siri's talking to me. So, just upload your content whenever. Because it's not a competition, so if you need to upload it next year, upload it next year. So we went into pagination, social share experience, leaderboard, calculator, and today we are going to be tackling a send cash application, or at least, a few screens of it. Obviously, this could be very in-depth, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what all of you do with animations and different UX and UI experiences. Yes, Sam, keep it down, Siri. We're streaming here. Alrighty, so before I jump in, I do want to showcase a few of the entries that have come over the last 24 hours from the calculator experience that we kicked off yesterday. So I'm going to go to, this one here is from Sarah. And let's go ahead and launch this prototype. And one of the cool things about Behance and XD is you can embed prototypes directly on Behance and interact with them. So if I just click anywhere, it's going to tell me exactly what I have to be clicking on. and I can kind of, roll out this little sidebar just like I showed yesterday. I am noticing in this particular example, things are kind of fading. So Sarah, if you're watching, make sure that there's a problem. Well, there you go. Maybe I clicked on it too much. Sarah, if you're watching, make sure that the group and layer names are the same across both artboards. That'll make sure that the animation takes place and it doesn't, default to a crossfade. So we can also click on the split button at the top, enter the number of people. I'll click on 3, calculate, and it does it. Super cool. Great job, Sarah. Next one is from Rizwan, who I see quite often participating in our Discord server. He put together this cool little calculator application, and he also took it a step further, and he also, he had some division, multiplication, subtraction, all these calculations in there, but he also has a tax calculator, so you can enter how much you've earned on maybe a given project, what your tax filing status is, and then it'll tell you approximately what you owe for that project, which I thought was kind of cool. Very creative. And that's what I love about these challenges is I show off something fairly basic in the morning, and then you all go crazy with it and do something super creative. This one is from Jennifer, who does, she's been in chat once in a while. She might be here. Jennifer, if you are here, definitely let me know. And I love when users and designers kind of embed their prototypes directly in mock-ups like this. It just kind of makes it a more real-world experience. And then there's a video here. Let's go ahead and, oh, maybe the video is not here. It was here this morning. Let's play it here. Here we go. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Perfect. So again, Jennifer's kind of going through and doing a very similar experience to what I built out yesterday, but then she also takes it a step further to add in a tip percentage and how many different people might be in the party. And then it's going to calculate, based on all that information, the exact total that you're required to pay. So great job, Jennifer. If you are in the chat, I know you do frequent here once in a while. Awesome job. And then finally, this was old, so we're not going to show that one. All right, so today we're going to hop into Adobe XD and we're going to tackle the cache application. I'm going to kind of base it off some of the stuff we did yesterday, just kind of keep the design a little bit consistent. But in this case, we're going to, instead of doing an iPhone 6, 7, 8 screen, we're actually going to do an iPhone 10. So I'm going to go over to my artboard tool. I could also use this one. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to just grab this artboard here and just kind of move this over to the side. That way I just have it. I can delete some of these areas if I don't want them there. I'll delete all this stuff. I'll keep the bar at the top and I'll keep this bar at the bottom as well. And Drew is asking if I saw my entry. I did look at a lot of them this morning. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go through all of them during the stream, but on Friday, right after we tackle the challenge, we're going to be taking a look at a lot of different entries, and I believe there's going to be a form that's going to be circulating. You can submit the one that really stood out to you, and I'll be taking a look at some of that stuff. Alrighty, so here we go. We're going to start tackling some things. Now for this one, I want the whole background to have a cool image in it. You know, yesterday we had just at the top, but today I'm going to go crazy. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, just draw one out across here, make sure it's behind all this stuff, and you know what, maybe for now I'm just going to delete or hide these elements just so they're not in my way. And with this rectangle, let me hop over to Finder, and like I mentioned many times, all you have to do, if you just have a shape, any shape can be a mask. So you just grab an image just like this one, pop it in, boop, there we go. And we now have a cool image in the background. And I can just double click on it, make it a little bit larger if I wanted to, adjust the mask, and just set it into place. So this is going to be the background of our cache application. And now we need some text. We need a few other things, including some buttons. So I'm going to start with the easy stuff. We're going to grab some text and just type out, let's say, send cache. I'll just put that at the top, and you're noticing those guides, those smart guides are kind of moving around. And one day I will get to Android, but for now, I'm sticking with iOS. And maybe I'll ask Marissa next time to add some Android, whatever these things, artboards in here. All right, so send cache there. Right below, I'm gonna do, we'll start with $0, but we're gonna get really creative with this one if we have time. So I'll do that. I'll just make this bold. And I'll leave this here for now. But again, we're going to get a little bit creative if we have time. So I'll leave it right about there. Make this a tiny little bit bigger. Perfect. Samuel saying PC. I mean, you're more than more than welcome to do any application that you want. If you want to do an iPhone application, a desktop, whatever it might be. All right, now we need some buttons. And just like we did yesterday, it's gonna be a little bit different, but I'm gonna draw out one square just like this. We want 3 across and 4 down. So just one square like that. And inside, I'm gonna type the number 7. Ooh, I can't even see it. We'll just make it gray for now. And maybe we'll do a medium and a little bit smaller. Perfect. So now that we have one, we obviously need to make a few of them. So I'm gonna grab both elements here, use my repeat grid button right at the top, boop, there we go. And we've got these new handles. Well, not new, but they've been there since day one. But I'm just gonna drag these across. Make sure we have 3, we do. I'm also gonna drag them down so we have 4. I'm gonna place them somewhere in the center of this artboard, just right around here. I do wanna make sure there's a little bit of room at the bottom for a button so we can send that cash. Move this up a little bit. And what I might wanna do is maybe, round out the corners just a touch to give it a little bit of style. And just to really go crazy, and because I'm kind of hooked on background blurs, I'm gonna add a background blur. But in this case, I might want a dark background blur. So I'm gonna darken this up a little bit. Not super dark, but dark enough that it kind of contrasts with the background. And obviously I want the fill of the text to be white. And you're noticing, super cool, that with repeat grid, you just have to make change to one entry and it's gonna make changes to them all. And now I can go through, and this will be 9, 8, this will be 9, what is this, 4 I think? 5, no, this will be 4, 5, yeah, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, and 3. And then down here we'll have a dot, we'll have a 0, and then we'll just do this for the back right now. It doesn't look that great, but we're gonna leave it just for the sake of time. All right, we can also go through and make these a little bit smaller. Maybe we'll do 16 pixels in between. Maybe we'll do, let's do 8 pixels. We'll go for the 8 pixel grid. There we go. That looks pretty good. Move all this stuff into place. And then at the bottom, we want one more button so we can actually send the cash. This is gonna be an outline button. So I'm just gonna round out the corners just like that with this little handle in the middle. I will set the border to white and turn the fill off. And maybe I'll make the border a little bit thicker. Perfect. All right, we're gonna move this to the center, and right in here, we're just gonna type out send cash. Cash. Spelling is important. And I'll make this bold. Make it a little bit smaller. All right, so now that we have kind of the basic structure of this application, we're gonna get a little bit fancy. We're actually gonna have some sort of a slider that allows us to kind of move in $5 increments. So what I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna grab my line tool, just draw one out across here, across the center of my artboard, set the border to white, and make that line nice and thick. Round out the caps a little bit, make sure it's centered in my document. Perfect. And on this side, I'm gonna type out, let's say this will be 0. Make this a bit smaller. Probably don't have to go bold. Well, maybe we'll go medium. Medium looks pretty good. And on this side, this will be the maximum amount we can send. So this will be, let's say $30. Make sure everything lines up perfectly. That looks good. And now we need an actual slider. So I'm gonna grab my ellipse tool, draw one out just like this. Pop it right at the end here, because this will be $0 to start. And then we're gonna have a nice white border, and maybe the fill is gonna be one of these colors on the background. And the border will be a little bit thicker. And maybe just to pop it out just a touch, we'll add a little bit of a background, a little bit of a shadow. Not too much of a shadow, but just a little bit so it pops out. Perfect. All right. The idea is that we would kind of drag this across the document or the artboard, and this would change. So what we're gonna have to do is create a mask. So before I do that, I'm gonna do a few more of these. So this will be 0. Let me actually zoom out so we can see as we're working. This will be 0. We'll do, let's say 5, and we'll do 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And also make sure that my line height is a little bit squishier, a little bit closer together. Perfect. And of course, we don't want all of these being displayed, right? So what we're gonna do with this layer selected, I'm gonna grab my rectangle and just draw out a rectangle across over top of this, the one that I want displayed, right? And if I turn down the opacity, you can kind of see that it's nicely over top of it, just like that. And what I want to do is position it over top of that layer, the text layer, select them both, go to Object, Mask with Shape, and it's going to basically just mask all that stuff, all the text layer inside of the rectangle that I just created that I positioned over top of that text layer. But everything, if I dive into this, everything is still there, it's just hidden, which is exactly what we want. So again, the idea is we can kind of move this around, move this to the side, and we'll be able to increase the amount of dollars that we're sending in $5 increments. Let me just go ahead and move this so it lines up perfectly with the sides here. That looks good. Move this in the center. Perfect. Alrighty. So now that that's done, we actually need to start animating this thing. But let me go ahead just to make sure everything is nice and organized. I'm going to select all these elements, holding down my Shift key. I'm going to group them all. And this will be Scrubber. There we go. That looks good. This is fine. I will make this dollar amount. Perfect. That's fine. Repeat grid, buttons, and send cash. I'm going to make sure this is also in a group. Send cash button. Because sometimes I find myself way into a project and all of a sudden I look at my layers panel, just a million layers, nothing is organized. So Pokey's asking, if you use the slider, why do you need the numbers? That's a good question. And just give users an option if they want to just very quickly slide over and you know, increase the amount of dollars that they're sending, or they can use the button. So there's definitely options available for users at this point. So now that the first state is complete, we need to work on the second. So I'm going to duplicate this artboard over to the right, and all we have to do is design what that second state looks like. So I'm going to grab the little ellipse within the scrubber, and it's very important. If you were to grab the entire scrubber and link that up for a drag trigger, it probably wouldn't work because it doesn't notice a difference of that entire group. So you'll want to grab this, move this over. Let's say this will be 25. Perfect, right about there. And then diving into the mask, we can start moving this up until we see 25. And we'll just position this right about there. All right. Andy's asking, if the slider is set at 30 max, what if my mom needs me to send 1 million? Well, you've got a problem, Andy. I also wouldn't use an application like this to send $1 million, or £1 million in your case. So now that this is set up, we have both states ready to go. We've got $0 on one screen with the slider over here to the left, and we've got 25 on this screen with the slider almost at 30, somewhere right about here. Now we need to start animating this thing. So I'm going to hop into prototype mode, which is right here at the top. Press that. And just like I was saying before, you want to make sure not to select the entire group because that'll cause problems, because XD will look at the differences between this group and this group, and it really won't notice anything because the group itself did not move. So you want to make sure to select the ellipse, and then you're going to move that handle over to the second artboard. In this case, you don't want to have a tap trigger, you actually want a drag trigger. We're going to have auto animate, it's going to be the default action for drag, and that's about it. So again, if you're brand new to Adobe XD, you've never used auto animate before, now that I've wired up these two artboards, XD is going to look at the differences between this artboard here and this artboard, and it's going to animate the changes. So I'm going to press the play button at the top, right up here, and all I have to do is drag my ellipse to the second state. And now we have this cool number counter, increasing the amount of money that we send by $5 increments. And I can just pop it right there, and there we go. Now I might want to make a few extra changes, right? So maybe in this case, the cash button is not active, right? So maybe I'll just turn down the opacity a little bit because you can't send $0. So now if I play this as I'm moving this over, it kind of highlights to let us know that you can now send cash. Now, of course, at this point, we need a few extra things. We obviously don't know who we're sending the cash to. So let's very quickly create some sort of an experience where you can select who you're sending cash to. I'm going to duplicate this over right about here and send cash 25. And then this screen, we might want to actually choose who we're going to send the cash to. So we might want some sort of a contact list. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool, just draw this out just like that. I do love that number counter. And if you're looking to, learn how to do this, in a video format, letsxd.com towards the bottom, there is a number counter tutorial you can grab right there. So there we go. We got an ellipse, and this will be name. I do want to left justify that. I probably don't need it super bold. We'll go for medium, and we definitely don't want it that large. So I'm going to make it nice and small, just like this. All right, I'll make it about 16 pixels. Perfect. Don't need a border there. That looks pretty good. Perfect. All right, so now that we've got both of these elements, just like we did before, we're going to create our repeat grid, Command and Control R. And what I might want to do, considering some of these names, let me go back, might be a little bit longer. What I'm going to do is change this from a point text to an area text. That way I can just drag this out to let XD know that it can fill out this entire area when names are either dragged in or we can just type them in manually. So selecting these both, Command and Control R, drag these out, and we've got a few extra names on our artboard, just like this. And we'll do 24 pixels in between each one. So now that we have a repeat grid, we obviously need some information. So let me hop over to Finder and let's browse for some stuff. So we've got, let's say, people over here. We've got some, not that one. I have way too many stock photos and none of them are organized. Maybe here we go, gallery. No, I do have some headshots somewhere. Let me find some of this stuff. Let me find my headshots. There we go. Here's some headshots that I've got. I've also got some names here. So let me just select these four. How many do we have? We have 5. So I can just select these 5 images. I can just drag them onto any of these circles. I can also use, Suyog is mentioning UI faces. So UI faces does not work. It hasn't been updated to work with repeat grids yet. But if I break the grid, it will work. And I'll show you that in a second. So I can just drag those in. I can just double click to make some changes if I wanted to, just like that. I can also drag in text files. So I have this text file here with a bunch of fairly generic names. Just drag this on to any of them, and it's gonna automatically populate. And if I need to, this is probably not Scotty, this might be Julia. I can just go in and override some of those text layers. And now I can very easily just select who I wanna send cash to and be on my way. Now, Suyog did mention UI faces. Let me show you that. Let me jump over here. And in this case, because again, UI faces does not work with repeat grids, I'm going to ungroup this grid just like this. I can ungroup all of this stuff. Ungroup, there we go, and just put it all into one single group. Now, what I can do is select all these circles just like this. Go up to the plugins menu, or if you're on Windows, it's hiding in the hamburger menu over to the left-hand side. And if you have not installed any plugins yet, definitely go to Discover Plugins. And you can just search plugins. So this would be UI Faces. That's the one there. And Adrienne is saying diverse UI is pretty good too. Yes, it is. I've used that quite often. It's a decent application. Or I think it's a website, right? I believe. Do they have a plugin? No, they don't. But I believe UI Faces is hooked in with Diverse UI. So I have these selected. I have the plugin installed. I'm going to go up to Plugins menu, UI Faces, and here's all the different sources we can use. So if you do want Diverse UI, you can definitely select that. Or if you want just all of them, just don't select any of them. So I'm going to press, let's say, Diverse UI, Unsplash possibly. We can set the ages. We can set genders if we wanted to, emotions, hair color, randomized, that sort of thing. And then when we press Apply Faces, it'll just grab those faces and pop them into the circles. And there we go. Fantastic. So let me just very quickly show off what we did, and let me possibly hook up this button over to this screen. It's not going to be a drag trigger, it's going to be tap. We don't need auto animate because nothing's really animating, so we'll just do a simple transition. Maybe we'll slide it over to the left. Maybe we'll push left. And we'll do an ease in and out and duration of 0.4 seconds. Now when we play, we can kind of move this over just like that. Send cash, slides over, and then we can go ahead and choose who exactly we want to send cash to. So that will just about do it for today. Definitely take what I showed you in this short 25-minute session. Go crazy with it, have fun, get creative, upload that stuff to Behance, and stick around. We've got Milo coming up with Melody with some awesome UI and UX goodness using Adobe XD. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early at 11:30 with day number 8 of the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge.